Today, we're going to be talking about self-publishing a book. My mom has published 5 books, and I recently published my first book, Turning Crisis into Clarity. And it was a journey, and we just want to hop into what that can look like. So the first steps are picking a topic. You will have lots of different ideas. One of the first things that I recommend is doing a brain dump where you just write down a lot of different ideas. And everybody's writing process is going to look a little bit different, but really writing really good content and providing really good value to your community is going to be one of the biggest steps in publishing your first book. Do you have any suggestions or tips for people that might be struggling with what should I write about? Where should I start?
Well, one of the things I would say is actually take out and buy a book, like a journal, and then just write down your thoughts. Just write down your thoughts. And sometimes, especially with me, I can't speak for other people, but I have a journal like this thick that has my thoughts that I get up with. And then I have a sheet that has topics for books, like titles that I've been thinking about. And so then I take that topic and I put it either in my iPhone, under notes, and just start writing down ideas. One of the things that I tell people to do is write a content, just a table of contents, but don't do chapters yet. Just write topics, what you think the titles are going to be, and start filling in that information. The reason I tell you not to make it chapter 1, chapter 2, because as it evolves organically, what will happen is you'll say, oh my gosh, that's not where that belongs. So you don't want to limit or carve out what you think is going to be by chapter, because that will be limiting instead of you just organically enjoying the process. That's what some of the tips I would give.
I love that. And also, if you are using a phone, because let's say you're really good at talking and you're not that confident in your writing ability, you can record your voice to text right on your phone. I was able, in my process, because I have content on a lot of different platforms, I was able to transcribe a lot of that. I had a lot of ideas in a lot of different places. And also, I have a Mac, and I turned on the accessibility feature on my Mac so that it would read it to me, and that really helped my editing process, where it did a text to speech right on my computer so that I could easily edit as I was going. Because sometimes your brain will fill in a word that is not there and you'll hear it, but you may not see it. I did still go with an editor. And I don't know that are we ready to hop to, once you've written the book, what's next?
Well, actually, let's take one more minute let's hop back to move forward. This is what I'll encourage you to do. And I'm just going to give you some information, because sometimes people start writing and they say, well, it's not what I thought, or this is it for me. Do you realize that you're an author once you publish? You're an author once you publish, okay? I'm not telling you to publish garbage. I am telling you to keep moving, because 97% of the people that start on this path do not publish. Do you hear me? They don't publish. The issue is that at some point, fear, or their fear of criticism, fear that it's not going to be successful, whatever the fear is, whatever their other limiting thoughts in their head may be happening inside, or is people going to like it, or is people going to read it? Don't get caught up in that. Get caught up in the fact of, if you have been assigned to leave a legacy, to leave your footprint in this way, which is what being an author is, leaving your footprint, then do it. Just start doing it, and don't be afraid. Just keep on doing it, and find people. Like I'm right now, I'm mentoring 2 people to finish their work. One lady, she got to a point, I'm telling you, she was in chapter 12, and she only had 2 more chapters to go. But those were the hardest 2 chapters. and you can speak to that.
I
The
really can.
hardest 2 chapters. So she would say, no, this, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And she had to push through. So get someone who either has done it, is what I recommend, but even someone who hasn't, that cares enough about you to push you through. Patrice?
And you all know that we stream this live on TikTok, and we have a phenomenal author coach right in our live, Becoming Unfiltered. You can search for her on Instagram and also over on TikTok. But Becoming Unfiltered, is a phenomenal book coach that helps you get your book onto Amazon. And she has special things that she knows to help you become a bestseller. And so I think partnering with somebody, especially when you get stuck, not if, because I think people want to stop and they may feel alone in the process. So I had a chapter on procrastination, self-sabotage, and imposter syndrome. And right in that chapter, I started to experience a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, what if nobody wants it? Like, what if this isn't good enough? I started to really get into my head, and I wanted to avoid that chapter so much. And what I decided to do was to write about it. Like, that was what I was writing about it. And I included that information right within that chapter, because I think when you are authentic and you are real, I think people connect with you in a different way when you're able to do that. And so I wasn't showing up saying, "Oh, I have all of this figured out." No, these are things that I actively have to process. I actively have to think about. Be careful who you share
Oh my goodness.
your plan with. Be careful who you share that you're writing a book. I believe T has given some feedback as well, to make sure once you have your title, once you have it in the works, just put it out there somewhere so that you have a record that you have been working on this project, just in case somebody publishes a very similar product around the same time you do, that you can always go back and say, nope. So I think I published my title somewhere in October or November, probably in October of last year. I put it out on my Instagram that this was something that I was launching. I also started a Facebook page with a similar title, just that to start to work on a lot of the topics and ideas that I had for it.
One of the things when Patrice talks about that and when T discusses it, it's about first mention. When someone goes through and say, no, I have the rights to that, then you can go back and say, nope. This is when it's based on when was it first mentioned, especially in the social platform that we're in. So it is imperative. The other thing it does is it holds you accountable. Imagine that. It holds you accountable. It helps you to determine that you're going to do it, and then you'll start building your community. You'll start building people information, like where are you at with it? And when you put a date on it, it's a wrap, because then you're driven. This is what I'll tell you. It's a tip in the middle of a tip. A goal has to be specific. It has to be measurable, right? So you have to put a date on it, and you have to be able to track it. And so that is very important when it comes to a goal. This is about you releasing it. And this is the other thing I'll do. Take Apple as one of your, I'm going to call it a benchmark. Apple puts out a phone, puts all the wonderful hype, I'm going to call it, for the phone, the new phone coming out. They tell you, people get in line for this phone, right? Then they say, if you have problems with it, send it back to us and let us know what the problems are so we can fix them, basically. They don't publicize that, but that's the way it goes. So we get this brand new, wonderful piece of equipment, and we tell them what's, like, this didn't work or this needs to be done, and they start fixing it. So in the book world, what you do is done. Get it done. It's not about getting it half done. It's about getting it done. As an author, and you start doing it, every time you look at a chapter, you start looking like, oh, I should have had this, and I should have this. And before you know it, it's still not done. So do a 2.0 version. And that's my point with Apple. Apple keeps on putting out versions of the iPhone, right? They're better each time they put them out. So if you right now, and we'll talk a little bit about it, I think, is I'm doing a new version of the first book that I did. And it's called Legacy Moments, Transformation That Goes Beyond Change. I did the book, I did the workbook. And now I'm doing a 2.0 version of it that's going to be a compilation and a lot more information because I'm in a different place now and people are in a different place. So you have to give people, if it's for people, you need to give them based on what's happening right now and give them your best right now. So that's what I encourage people to do.
I love that. Now, I think we do need to talk about the difference between self-publishing and going with a publisher. So you've decided to write a book, and now you do have the option to go with the publisher. And if you go with the publisher, you will typically get a book deal, and they likely pay you a lot up front. So you'll get a certain amount up front and then you'll kind of negotiate things from there. Typically, when you're going with a publisher, they are paying for marketing. They, depending on your deal, they may be including editing, making sure, finding the illustrator. You give up a lot of control. And these two people that you are listening to, that you are watching, we really like control. And that is a benefit, I think, to self-publishing. If you self-publish on Amazon, then really you are just writing the book and paying for an editor, and then you do not have to pay a bunch up front. When I published my book, I needed hard copies of the book up front. And I could have ordered them through Amazon. They're about, depending on the size of your book, it can be as cheap as maybe $2.50 for the author copy. For the author purchasing copies of the hardcover book, because it was more expensive going with 48-hour books, which is who I went through. This is not sponsored, not at all. I get nothing for saying this, but they were a really great organization, and I was able to customize the book, upgrade the cover. You're able to customize it a lot more than you are over on Amazon. But over on Amazon, I don't have to worry about international shipping. That is passive income. And passive income,
we like passive. And let's talk about what passive versus active income is. If I can drop in, because I'm the one with the money people, right? So passive is when I wake up in the morning, I get a check. I didn't do anything. I just got up and got a cup of coffee. But they added money in my bank account. It does not require my physical presence. It was work that I did previously or something that I've done before that people are paying me for. But it's kind of already built into the system, does not require me to do anything. Amazon mails it off. Magically, it shows up in your mailbox, that kind of thing. Active income is what I do also when it comes to the book, is that you go on my website. In this case, you go on the website, I have to mail it off or get someone on my staff to mail it out, right? On my team to mail it out. But it means somebody has to actively make those things. Let's talk about it in another way. When you go to work every day, that's active. I'm retired. That's passive.
retired with like a pension, like that's how retired.
like nice pension. Anyway, but I was an executive and all that stuff, and I worked a lot, to get, praise the Lord. Anyway, but let me say this. What I want to go back into the publishing, because you have to find someone who's interested in your work to find a publisher. They're publishing based on some things that are already set up. And let me talk specifically to people, especially the people that are social media influencers, like the people on TikTok. When you have a community already built, it helps you to, when you launch the book or when a publisher launches it, that they're saying, okay, this person has so many people that's already actively engaged with them. The opportunity for us to increase our profit is higher. Okay, so we're going to talk about, and let's talk about the reason you write a book, if I may, right there, is that when I launched my first book, my community was
Small.
it was a commune. It was
not a community.
It was the IT. It was itty bitsy. It was itsy and bitsy. Okay, and I still launched it. I still had sales, but this is what I had to do. Remember, I self-published my first book. This is my first book, and I self-published it. I mean, it's bad. It's a good book. It's a nice book. It will rock your world. All that good stuff, right? Then it doesn't change the fact that the book is good if you self-publish it or go out to a publisher or any of that. It doesn't change any of that. Okay, it's just about what road works best for you in your pocket and book. Okay, because there's an investment regardless. None of it's free.
And I think because I have a friend that is close to an author that her book has sold millions of copies and she makes very little. So I think she got a lot up front. And the publisher is really the one who's benefiting the most off of the millions of sales that the book continues to do.
But they're the one who came in with the risk. They're the ones who did the investment, gave her whatever they gave the person up front, right? On the bet that it would do well. It's them that took it's like investments. It's risk reward. Well, they took all the risk. Guess who's getting all the reward? So she didn't know, and they didn't know officially how well it was, but they took the risk for it. So I think that makes a difference, and keep that in mind. Whereas every time I sell a book, every time I go to speak, all of that, then I take my books and at the back table, front table, my product, because I just wowed them when I spoke right at the event. So now I want to hand them more of me by signing the books and stuff like that.
I think that's important. And if you are a speaker, or if you desire to be a speaker, having a book, or if you have a podcast, if you're putting your content out there, or even if you're on TikTok, I do think everybody has a story to tell. We're going to pause for just a second. And so the name of my mom's book, so her book is on johnnylloyd.com. JOHNNI. Is it johnnylloyd.com?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Her book is johnnylloyd.com. And her book is Legacy Moments, Transformation That Goes Beyond Change. Legacy Moments, Transformation That Goes Beyond Change. And it's about affirmations. It's about positive affirmations. My book is Turning Crisis into Clarity. That one is linked in my bio. Did you want to say something about it?
Yeah, just taking control of your mind, your will, and transforming from the inside out. It is amazing. And I'm not saying it's amazing just because I wrote it, even though I did. So, but let me tell you a little bit about the story, if I may, about this. It didn't start off being this. It started off because as I was traveling back and forth to Washington, I would do little legacy moments and put them out on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And people said, and I said, well, I'm just going to put them in a little book. So I was going to put it in a book like this size, right? I was going to put it in a half-size book. And they told me I need 10,000 copies. I said, what? So I was so upset. Upset. Well. So what ended up happening is Patrice, again, find somebody who's in your course, someone who's on your team. And she said, why don't you just make it a book? Well, I was in denial. I was still mad. I still had an attitude. Like I did all this work and blah, 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 blah. I was tripping. Can I tell you? I was absolutely tripping. Okay. So one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm just going to put all these little sheets in a book. Next thing I did is I started writing under them. Like, what does it really mean? What does it really mean? So when you start looking at things, and again, it morphed into something else. And that's what I'm going to tell you about the book. As you start off, it starts off in one way, and then you'll start adding things to it. People will ask you questions. That's why it's so important to do pieces. Now, the other thing, and I love this part, is we're going to do a quick ebook. This is an ebook. This is one of the ebooks I do. Now, ebooks for me are lead magnets to build my community. Okay, because we're talking about community, building your community. So I get their addresses, all that stuff from lead magnets. And this one is on leadership. I have one on fear. I have all of these sitting right there. So my point for saying that is this: it start where you are. Maybe you don't have the investment yet to be able to go ahead and launch full blown, but take one of the amazing chapters you have and take your cover, put it on there, and just start sending it out and start building your community and bringing people to you that are looking for the sound of your voice in their life. That's the amazing thing about TikTok and other different platforms, is that people are looking for a sound. You know how you like certain music? I like R&B. I like certain music, right? So I can hear it. And as soon as I hear it, I can tell you maybe not the name of the song, but I can sing it, which could be dangerous. But anyway, I can sing the song. But what I'm saying is people are looking for your voice. So build your community and do it from the perspective of, it's not about you, it's about supporting them. How are you giving back to them? People want to know, Maya Angelou said, people want to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And so, all my little degree, all this, people don't care if I'm a 3 times international best-selling author. They don't care. I mean, honestly, they don't. I mean, it's cute and I'm not mad. However, somebody like T can help you on Amazon be a international best-selling author. Someone like that can build you up. Find somebody who has done it, not somebody who's got, a platform but have not done the work. If they're not on it, if they don't have people that they have helped get there, you might want to move to the right or move to the left. You might want to find somebody, because remember, it's your investment and it's your baby. A book is like a baby, if I can say it like that. Not just for women who are delivering. It's almost like once you finish it, it's like you're the fresh. So how did that feel?
And I, in the midst, because I had a lot of other things, because I finished the book and then had a big speaking engagement, and then but it was a relief. It was nice, and it kind of felt surreal. Like, even holding it in my hand, it was like, wow. So it felt good. Yeah, it felt good.
Let's talk about this. So we've talked about some of the reasons. Let's talk about a couple reasons why a person would write a book, right? Because they want to put their story out. They have a story and they want to put it out. Because they are creative and they want to do something that is about, they have different characters and things like that, right? I'm going to tell you about someone who wrote a book who was actually on welfare. Nobody would accept their book. J. Rowling's, and I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but obviously a lot of people in the universe are, because girlfriend's a billionaire because she did. But what I'm going to tell you is that, do you in your lane. Don't look at what anybody else did. Look at what you desire to do and make plans for that. Start with the end in mind. What do you want out of the book? Do you want speaking engagements? Is it to help confirm you in a different platform, to be an expert in space? What is the reason you're doing it? Self-gratification, because you want to put this out there. Find out why you want to do it. And when I say self-gratification, that's not just because I'm an author.
Yeah,
it's
because that's not a good reason.
I don't mean that kind of self-gratification. I mean that you have a story to tell and you want to put it out there because you want other people to know that they're not alone. Okay. Now there are some people that do a book because of
Vanity.
I mean, let's be honest. Some people do it because of vanity.
I don't think that does as well. I think you have to be serving people. I think you have to be serving people. I think books that are reaching out and connecting with others, and that are for other people, with other people in mind, I think that is more helpful than, hey, I just want to say I published a book. I don't think that does as well.
No, unless you already have a huge crowd. I mean,
but then they might buy it.
They'll buy it, but they're not going to read it. I mean, or if they, anyway, my name is Johnny. I'm going to stay in my lane. This is what I'm going to tell you, is that whatever your why is, the more people that you're helping to solve a problem, whether it be business, whether it be TikTok, whether it be whatever you're doing, okay? Whatever you're doing, when you're helping other people, it makes all the difference in the world as to who you connect with. When you are doing it from a self-centered perspective, then you get you. You connect with you. When you're doing it from an external perspective, what's in it for them perspective, then what happens is you are able to build a bigger community and help other people solve a problem. That's how people are making money right now. I mean,
solving a problem. So what problem is your book looking to
that's
solve?
good.
I think that's another good thing to have in mind. And let's say your book is to create this fantasy world, or it's like for people that like murder mysteries. I don't know. And so, because I wrote a nonfiction book, but there are some phenomenal fiction books. But I do want to circle back because I think a lot of people get in their own minds and say, but I'm not a writer. And I don't think you have to be a writer to write a book, because Dr. Patrice Berry, I had to attend a writing course in order to get into graduate school. I was accepted to graduate school on a provisional basis because my writing wasn't at the graduate level. And it was one of the best things I ever did because I did have some gaps in my writing. When I did write the book, I used things like Grammarly, I used the regular spell check, and I used an editor. I hired an editor, and most editors will charge somewhere between like 1 to 2 cents a word, up to maybe 5 cents a word, or some will say if it's between certain word counts, then they will have certain prices. And that was one of the best things I could have done because the book was good before I gave it to the editor. But when I got it back from the editor, it was like, ooh, you made me, this is really good now. And because when I was writing it, that is your baby. And sometimes you don't know how, okay, well, this could read a little bit better, and making sure that you have an editor that you trust. So I trusted my editor to the point where when I saw the revisions that were coming in, yes, I did not tweak any of those. I did go back through them and just make sure, because it is your product. So even though you're using an editor, your editor's name is probably not on the book. Or if it is, your name is first. And so you have to make sure that you are okay with the content that you are putting out there. But I do think I wouldn't skip the editor process. And let's say you have a friend that's an English major, I would have somebody else read the book before. I wouldn't just write it yourself and then put it out there. I would make sure that somebody else reads the book. And if you can afford to invest in an editor, I would get it professionally edited.
Right. Now, we're not going to get into ghostwriting and all the other things today. I mean, there's so much out there. So we're really talking about aspiring authors, people who are either want to self-publish or they want to go out and publish through a company. Now, is this the best? I have, as Patrice mentioned, I have several different books, and some of them are collaborations. One of the books that is international best-selling, I'm an international best-selling author in, is this one. Now, if you look at the front, you'll see.
Can you say the name?
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Voice. Don't you love me? Voices of the 21st Century, bold, brave, and brilliant women who make a difference. Don't that sound like me? I'm just saying. So, and it's Gail Watson and Johnny Lloyd. However, it was like each chapter in this book is one woman's story, right? I am one of the many authors on here. But when you do a collaboration, and that's what I want to talk about, a collab. Let's talk about a collaboration where you come in and you join a few other authors. Few could be 40, or it could be 3, or it could be 2 other authors. They share in the cost of the entire program, the package, and they pay for everything. So Gail was the one who started it with Women's Speakers Association. I'm connected to them because I'm a speaker, author, coach, right? And so she's the one who started it. So when you go to Amazon, her name is on the book. She gets the money through Amazon. Okay, she gets the money through Amazon.
But she did the investment.
She did the investment. She did the initial investment. Well, actually, all of us came together and did it. But she did the she brought us together. She was in a mastermind, there is a person that's in lead, and she was the lead. So if you have a thought for a book, and you know that other people can come in and maybe value that want to be authors, you can do that. But remember, you have to work with them. You have to do a contract. This is not a game. This is big business. Okay. So then I did that one. Then there's another one I did because it was so valuable. This one has the international best-selling author on it because it went so fast. It became an international best-selling so fast. This one is Voices of the 21st Century, Powerful, Passionate Women Who Make a Difference. So if you notice, it's the same kind of theme on both books, and they do one each year. So if you're a speaker and you want to reach out and connect to me, you can direct message me and I can give you information to join the Women Speakers Association. And they are doing books. They do them every single year, and every one of them has been an international best-selling author. I mean, they are normally international best-selling books because they have so many women all over the world. It doesn't take them long to do that. Okay. So now this is a different collaboration. I'm a Napoleon Hill certified instructor for the foundation. And this book is Pathway to Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill certified instructors. We did this book together. When you see it out on there, Ledford is the one that gets the money from the thing because he's the one who brought the team together. So if you're doing that, you can bring a team of people together. Just make sure that they're like-minded, like-minded people that are easy to talk to, that are going to follow the instruction, that kind of thing, and have the investment to put in. Each book I had to invest in separately for my little chapter or my big chapter in whichever book. We still invested the same amount of money based on what was needed. There were some additional things, but we had someone who was doing all the work for us. We had a publishing company that was doing it, which is a lot more expensive, but it made it work. So what do you want at the end? Now, let me tell you a mistake I made, and then we're going to move forward. I did all these wonderful things. I'm a 3 times international best-selling author, right? So what did Johnny do with that? Can we talk? The reason I'm telling you to have a plan in advance is because you need to have a plan in advance. You're making an investment in this, and you need to know what you want the book to do. Now, in each one of those cases, because I'm a speaker, my plan in advance was to take the books and sell them on site. Well, then we ran into a pandemic. And so therefore, I had the books in my hand, right? Now, I still sell them on my website and all that good stuff. So what I did after I realized in the middle, maybe 6 months ago, what I started doing is I started tapping into women's groups and saying, hey, I want to do a couple trainings for you in this space. And the book comes with it. The book is $20. So the event is free, but every person that you have on the platform in the room, the book is required because that's what we're training out of, right? So I got the sales. I get a chance to release my inventory and mail everything off, right? And I said the books have to be purchased through me. You can't go to Amazon and somebody else get the money while I do the training. I'm just saying, you have to be specific and strategic. So then I go to churches, I go to certain organizations and do that. For Napoleon Hill, it's Think and Grow Rich. I have a big platform out there that I tap into to help with those books. And I'm writing some stuff now. So The Insanity of Self-Sabotage is a book that I'm working on, and a couple others. But the reason that I'm telling you to have a plan, I saw your face. Anyway, because I've been working on a book for a minute. Can we pray? Anyway, so the reason that I'm telling you to have a plan at the end is because if you have no plan, you'll have the product. How do you get it out? Even if you have a publishing company, they're tapping into your community. If nobody knows you and you're not a name brand, they still have to do work, and you still have to do do work. They'll give you a website, absolutely, but you got to get people to the website. They'll do all of those things. So, what are you looking for at the end? If you're looking for credibility, make sure that you start putting things in that space, LinkedIn. So, just think about how you're going to use it and move forward. Because, again, once you finalize it, you're an author. However, you don't want stock sitting in your basement or in your house. You don't want to just have a bunch of stock. You want people to enjoy your work. Does that make sense?
As we wrap it up, so what would be your top 3 tips for an aspiring author? I will go first. So for me, if you're looking to write a book, step 1 is to do it. Get started, write down some ideas, start on a topic. To me, I think your first book is typically the hardest, that first one. And then after that, things can flow a little bit faster. You'll know more about the process. Step 2 is to research. So I went on YouTube and I was researching. And if you want to skip the research part, then you can connect with a coach that can help walk you through the process. But think about what's going to be best for your book and your idea and your product. Because Amazon has these like short books that you can publish that are extremely short, and it might be like 99 cents or something, and where they're just little small booklets that you're able to put out, and it might be 20 pages, or it might be very, very short. And so I would change your thinking about what it takes to be a published author. And then my last tip is to continue to connect with and grow a community and talk around or talk about that idea that you have, because I think that will help you write it. As you talk about it, as you put it out there, I think that will really help.
Wow. Mine is, besides Patrice's 3, this is number 4. Go out to my YouTube channel under JB Lloyd and Associates. You'll see my beautiful face. So go out there and look under my channel for aspiring authors. There is a piece that I did out there for aspiring authors that tells you how to organize, how to gather the information, and gives you some really specific information out there. And when people are asking me to help them, that's the first thing I ask them to do, to go out there and do that. Because I want their investment in my time to go well. So I want them to already know something so they have better questions. And that's what I recommend you do. And you can subscribe to the channel while you're out there. So then number 2, but she's laughing at me because I used to do stuff like that. So number 2 is this, is be authentically you, right? If you want to do a book, or you feel like there's a need right now to do a book on social media and the platform and the impact on family, or you're not in that space, you want to do it as a mother, how being at home, homeschooling your children and the impact of whatever, or whatever you want to do the book on, whatever your space is, whatever you have a voice and you are passionate about, that's where you should be. Then the other thing is carve out time in a little time every day to just sit down and write. Once you say this is the title, or this is the genre that I'm going to be in, and we haven't talked about that, but if this is the space you want to be in, then go ahead and just write in the journal every day a little bit, right? And then get Otter, Otter, or what Patrice mentioned earlier on the MacBook. Otter is free, and its voice it does translation. It's not perfect, but it does translation, and you can download it for text, as in they'll give you the typing that you did and translation, and they'll also give you the voice. So you can look at it and say, what did I say? Because if you're one of the people that you think, and you're not as big a writer immediately, or you're out and about with whatever you're doing and you have these thoughts, put it in that kind of space so that you can take advantage of your thought. Don't trust yourself. 15 minutes, I'm going to write it down. No, do something right now. And be intentional is my last thing. Is be intentional. Be intentional to know that you're more than enough. Be intentional and establish a date. Be intentional and build a community so that when you drop your book, yeah, you can move forward. Those are the things I would say.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like this content, please share it with somebody that you think would benefit from it. Make sure to subscribe and follow us over on social media, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.